Hey, good morning. It is Monday, the 25th or something. We're almost through January 2021 already, and that just feels a little weird to me. So how was everybody's weekend? Hopefully it was good. Everybody had something cool to do. I've still been doing this baseball card thing, and the one on Saturday night went really well. We pulled some awesome cards and had a good time, so that's always a positive. But for today, what we're going to work on is a couple of things. The first is, if you guys can recall from Friday morning, we were working on thinking about how we were going to handle a speech when a user asks us what the list of categories are in our trivia game. And this is always tricky because we're operating with voice. So this isn't like a button or a menu or anything that we create. This ends up being an utterance, right? Something somebody says, we need to be able to handle that. And so we did a pretty good job of that, and we built this really dynamic system that could randomly grab the 20 categories from the database, and then it would shuffle them up, or it might just pull 5 if they gave a more generic request, like what categories are there? Then we say things like, oh, here's 5 you might want to try, right? And we just give them those 5. So we started there, and then we realized quickly, like, man, that's going to end up being a whole host of issues for us once we start to internationalize this, localize it for other countries. And so we started breaking it out and got ourselves to a point where we were mostly done with the short list, the 5 category list. But we still needed to come up with a way to do that for the full list. And so just to quickly show you, like, this is kind of what it looked like. So you can see here that we had this little chunk here that's commented out now. And we were just looping through and picking out 5 categories from our list and inserting them. So we don't do any of that more. Oh, Karthik, good morning. We've got a raid coming in from Karthik in India. Thank you for the raid. Kevin Evans, good morning. There's Karthik's music. Or no, it's Gold Zulu's music. Nice. Gold Zulu, welcome. We got to get Karthik's. Karthik is the Michael Scott from The Office. That's the noise that his makes. Kevin Evans, do you have a sound yet? Have we given you a sound?
God, please, no.
There it is. Good morning, Karthik. Hello. Speaking of Karthik, I am working with the Alexa India community on Thursday morning. They are putting on a live virtual event and I'm going to be speaking at that. So I'm going to be giving my talk on kind of my vision for the future of. Here we go. Mom. Nice. Yeah, we're going to go kind of deep into the philosophy of the future of voice and how all that stuff works. So that will be in my time, Eastern time. That is 8:30 a.m. on Thursday morning. So I'm going to do that for an hour, and then we'll come over here and we're going to do just a short stream on Thursday morning before I then have to head off and do an episode of Alexa and Friends on Thursday morning. So lots and lots of streaming for us on Thursday. And Karthik has just provided the link in the chat here. I'll even slap it up on the screen like so. So that is the URL that you'll want to check out for Thursday if you guys want to come see me get all philosophical about the future. All right, so that's what's going on there. What I want to do now is get back into this code and like really make some progress. What I put in the description for this session today is that I also really want to focus on how we're handling the answer intent. Answer intent is our black hole, and I even mentioned this here. If there wasn't a question asked, what we might still land here, what should we do? There's a couple of options that we can think about as we go through this process. And I think what I have to do, excuse me, is that I treat most things as a wrong answer if there's something that I'm not expecting, because wrong answers can be so broad and vague. When you think about answering a trivia question, the number of wrong answers is infinite. The number of right answers is solitary. And so we need that ability to catch all of the wrong answers and log them and do all that stuff. And we're doing that. The problem we have is that when we allow wrong answers like that, where we're catching everything, when a user says something we're not expecting at any time, it ends up being a situation where we don't know what to do with that speech. And so we kind of, I refer to it as a black hole, but we have this black hole of information where people are saying things and we don't necessarily know what to do with it because our search query slot caught it. So because of that, we're going to have to think about that a little bit today too. So the first thing that I want to do, if we come back to category full list, is that this piece right here, we're going to try and rip this out. So what I was going to do is take first my category list, this category list here, and we're going to take it like this, and we're going to just do some creative stuff with the internet. So we're going to go to one of my favorite websites, random.org, and they have a list randomizer. So I'm going to take this list of categories and I'm going to randomize it. So it gives me this list of categories in a randomized order rather than the alphabetical list that I gave it. So we'll take that and we're going to copy it and we're going to go to look at our database for speech. And in here we have these full list intro, right? TKO Trivia has 20 categories of questions. They are, and I'm going to say right here, we're just going to do that. Oh, that's so great that it worked like that. So what I need to do now, and sports and games. So we need to just drop in some commas. And then I still need to work with my good friend, Allison Atwell. I have a meeting with her on Wednesday. And I think on Wednesday, I might have a better feel for how I can get these ands to sound better. Got the robot vacuum going in my background. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but I hear it. We got a new one from a not Roomba company, and it's working pretty well. I mean, Corey, I don't want to take you away from your video games. Watching me manually update a database does not sound as fun, but you do you, man. So that's TV and radio. Now, what I want to do is each time I do this, I want to have a different list. So I'm also going to take the category list. We'll do it once alphabetically. So we'll just give it to them alphabetically, just like that. And I don't think that's going to break. So we're going to just dump it into this list and more randomizer. I'm going to dump them like this, and then I'm going to copy them again. I think that will take the formatting away that lets that when we dump this into rows. So we're going to say, here are my 20 question categories, and I say this, and yeah, it took away all the trouble. Normally, it would have rewritten a bunch of rows and United States. So now we'll just drop in some more commas. Creature Rat, good morning. Welcome. Corey Haynes, I'm glad you're here, man. Hope you had a good weekend. Hope everybody had a good weekend. So my hope is that when we set up the additional languages, whether that's German or French or whatever, we can just replace these, right? Do this exactly the same way. Okay, that one's done. And then we'll do one more randomization. I'll randomize it a couple times, just so we end up with something a little bit different. Okay, and we'll take this version and drop it in right here. It would insert the comments for me, but that's all right. I need a and at the end. And people. Okay. World history, business, tradition and beliefs, miscellaneous, design, language, music, politics, food and drink, sports and games, film, TV and radio, science and geography, United States, technology, geography. Okay, so that gets anytime you can finish a project. I've been following your stitching work, Corey. Anytime you can finish a project is a good weekend. I agree. All right, so that should let us take this chunk out. We don't need this at all. I think I can do the same here because this is already commented out. If I look at category full list, these should look pretty similar now. I do love deleting some code. So this is our category list intro. And we're either getting category list intro or we're getting category full list intro. Then we're getting a category query. And here we're getting, are we doing it in both? Category query for both. And then category full list prompt. What is that? Full list. Oh, I only need that in the one situation. Okay, that's perfect. So I have this category full list prompt only for the list intent, not for the, if I give you the full list, I don't need to remind you that you can also ask for all 20. You just got all 20. Oh, the VS Code Discord is handing out stickers for any of you VS Code fans. Do you have a link to the Discord, Karthik? That would be helpful for folks. And full list intent, I think this is all good. I think we're ready to go using our new sets of utterances. So we'll have to come in here. We'll just refresh this just to get us back in a good state. Everything's running here nicely. Cool. I like when things work.
Welcome to TKO Trivia, the trivia game show where you answer difficult questions and win nothing.
Nice. Okay. List the categories. This should be the full list.
TKO Trivia has 20 categories of questions. They are TV and radio, design, miscellaneous, business, world history, film, food and drink, literature, United States, people, science, art and stage, language, tradition and beliefs, politics, technology, nature, geography, music, and sports and games. Which one do you want to try?
We need a period on there. And sports and game. We should put that in the data, not in the code. So these all need a period at the end, it sounds like. Okay, that, did I see a typo? Police, yeah. Good eye, Jeff. Good eye. All right, so that worked great. Here we go. There's the link if you guys want to copy that out of the chat. Do I think the welcome prompt is too long? I don't know that the welcome, like getting into the skill itself. I don't think that it's too long. Welcome to TKO Trivia, the trivia game show where you answer difficult questions and win nothing. Do you think that's too long? I was thinking about adding a sound effect to this as well. That seems pretty simple. And then this piece here is only if they've asked for the list of categories. Yeah, I agree it's long, but this is we're building out a specific scenario where they have asked to hear the whole list. Let's test the other version, which is if they just say, what are the categories? I'm going to do this.
Here are 5 of my favorite categories: film, language, nature, sports, and games, and United States. You can always ask for the full list of categories if you want to hear all 20 of them. Which category would you like to try?
So you can see in this scenario, all I'm doing is giving them 5 random ones. So most of the time when they ask for categories, they're going to get something like this, which is much shorter. But there are times where they may specifically want to hear the whole long list. And then we let them do it that way. So I'm just giving them 5. They will always be able to hear the whole long list if they want to. And then one of the other things that I do is this piece here. You can always ask for the full list of categories. This only shows up half the time. So 50% of the time they will be told that they can ask for the full list, and 50% of the time you won't even hear that sentence or that phrasing. So it'll just say, here's 5 categories I recommend, and then which category do you want? So it's different from how you might think about a shop where you want to make sure that the user knows about all the things you have available. They always have the luxury in everything that they do inside this trivia game to always ask for a category. And I will tell them whether or not I have a category. But for the times where they just want a list of some categories, I just give them 5. And then they can decide whether they want to pick one of those, or they could say, hey, what's the whole list? I want to hear the whole list. But generally people have specific categories of trivia that they like, and telling them that I have United States trivia when they don't care about that ever isn't all that beneficial. So I'm trying to mix it up and give them some variety, but generally people will come in and they'll have a category that they like, and they'll tend to hover in that, and except for like in the daily games and stuff, which we haven't even started building. So hopefully you like that, but I'm always open to suggestions. So if you have ideas on how I might handle that differently, I'm always open to that too. One of the things that I haven't done is the idea, and I try to stay away from yes, no questions, is the traditional path that I think some people take with this, which is, do you want to hear more? Would you like a longer list? Do you want to hear some more categories? All of those kind of lead to yes, no questions. And then I have to like persist. What did I ask them? And what does yes or no mean? And it becomes this kind of twisted mess of conditions that are all coming from the same answer. I will probably end up there anyway, but I'm trying to avoid it as long as possible. So that's why I haven't done that with the categories. Hopefully that's enough justification, but that's kind of how I've decided to do that. Okay, so those 2 pieces work. That's great. So we've ripped all of that stuff out. These are very simple now, these category list intents. We're going to just close all of our files for right now because we're going to go move on to a new thing. And I'm sure we'll open some of these up again, like answer intent. But what we need to do now, the first thing that I should do is build out a separate kind of handler for all of these scenarios where they said something and I don't know what to do. And that includes like, they gave me a wrong answer and I wasn't expecting an answer at all. Yeah, so I do have that, Karthik. If they say, give me a random question or something along those lines, it does pick a category for them. And so I think I can demonstrate that. I think that works. If I say, give me a random question.
Whoops. It looks like one of our programmers broke something.
Does not work.
I will let them know and have them fix it as soon as possible. In the meantime, you can always ask for a random question or start a new quiz, right?
Yeah, so you can see that I hit the question intent and my category didn't have a value, which is what I would expect. This is not distracting at all, Karthik. I really appreciate these. This is the discussion I want. So I'm thankful that you're asking the questions. This is the thing that I need to figure out is how do we, when we have question intent, well, we got this category. So let's take a look at our error first and see what the error is. The error was get random speech dot replace is not a function. So let's go look at the question intent and see what we're doing. My guess is I have a dependency in there that assumes we have a question. And that was question intent where? Question intent, line 10. So if there was no resolved category, I have this unknown category speech that I'm pulling from the database. I think all I need to do is this. Let's do a little bananation there. Thank you for visiting. Another good question. I don't know why the word right is there. That must have been rephrased from something else. In the meantime, would you like to ask for a random question or start a new quiz? Okay. That's a good call out on that speech. So I'm getting no category. So that should say go out and get unknown category. And do we have that in our data? Unknown category? No. I don't even see that as a speech type. Unknown. Unknown categories there. I just don't have any of these. Okay. So let's solve for that. All we need is some speech for that. Unknown category. So we'll do a little enus unknown category. This is where I can't believe that I didn't write this already, because I wrote like a bunch of logic for like supplementing a value and all that. That's what this is. So I feel like it's weird that I would have done that. But here we are. Oh, I do have one. Uh-oh, we don't have a category for category name. There is one there. So why didn't it get it? I think I know why, but let's do this. Excuse me. Hamzam, welcome. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. Much appreciated. We're building a trivia game, like a big one. It's Hamza. All right. I like Hamzam, but I'll go with Hamza. That's cool. Welcome to the show. We're here building a bunch of cool stuff for Alexa. So we're building a game where people can ask trivia questions or play trivia questions. And we're in the middle of constructing it right now. So I'm figuring out what to do when a user asks for a category that doesn't exist. And that's the piece that we're going to focus on at this exact moment. So I think that will do it. Let's give that response another try and see what we get.
Something is definitely very broken. If only I could fix it myself. Sorry for the inconvenience.
I know.
I've notified our developers. Let's start over. What would you like to do now?
Data.getRandomSpeech.replace is not a function. What's going on in my code here that we're breaking this so easily? I'm calling out, I'm getting random speech. from unknown category. Is that a type that exists if I look at my speech types? Unknown category exists. Unknown category exists. Okay, so that's all good. So the thing that we need to figure out, oh, you know what I'm going to do?
Why are you following me?
Wow, Hamza, thank you for the follow. Much appreciated. I want to edit my stream info. We got kicked before Major Lift shows up. I want him to be so happy that I've remembered to do this. I just changed my category to the science and technology group that it's supposed to be in every time. So hopefully I fixed that before he got here. Who knows? He could be lurking back there and realizing that I figured it out on my own, but he's training me. It's good. So for some reason, it thinks that getting the random speech, we're not getting a value back. And so, well, we could be getting a value back, but it's not doing my replace for me. So let's do these in individual lines so that we can identify where the issue is. So we'll take all of this here. We could just call this random speech. And this is going to equal random speech dot replace. So now we'll see if it's that I'm not getting data or if that I was trying to apply replace before I had my data. Hamza, I do this for a living. So I actually work on the Alexa team at Amazon, and I spend a lot of my time building this kind of stuff. But I actually work on the team that makes Alexa. So we do all of this kind of stuff all the time. Primarily, my goal is to teach, educate, inspire. I spend a lot of time building this kind of stuff so that people like you might show up and be like, oh, I want to try that. That's kind of one of my goals here. But also, like, I need to stay technical and I need to be building things on a regular basis. And so this is a way for me to be doing that. I've been on the Alexa team for just over 4.5 years. So most of the time that Alexa has been out, I have been on the team. So we have our category speech and we're replacing our category name. So let's do this one more time. Just, I mean, we should still get the error, I would think, but maybe breaking it into 2 lines saves our day. We'll see.
Something is definitely
Okay,
very broken. If only I could fix it myself. Sorry for the inconvenience. I've notified our developers. Let's start over.
Okay.
What would you like to do now?
So it feels like we're not getting our data. So now it's a little clearer. To answer your question, Hamza, if you're at Amazon, are you allowed to stream your work? I am, because I'm not building directly for, like, I'm not building on the Alexa engine. What I'm building is what is basically like a mobile app for your phone. So I'm building something that runs on Alexa, and anyone can do this, not just me. And so, yeah, I'm actually encouraged to do this. I spend a lot of my time streaming and building cool stuff for voice and thinking about conversations and chatbots and all that kind of stuff. So I'm glad you found me, Hamza. These are some great questions. Happy to answer them. So console.log. This is going to be random speech. Okay, so now we're going to see what happens with random speech when we try to run this through, because I just don't understand why we're not getting data. We should be getting a value back. And we don't appear to be getting a value back.
Uh-oh,
There we go.
don't have a category for undefined. You can always ask for the list of categories, or ask for a random question.
Okay, so that worked. So that's getting my speech out of the database, which is, uh-oh, we don't have a category for whatever you said. But it still feels like that's empty. So now I need, in the tweaking of my code, I think I broke this. Spoken category. See, so I identified a bug. Yeah, Hamza, I agree with you. If this was source code for Amazon, that would be one thing. But no, I'm building these apps for Alexa separately. This is not proprietary source code. I'm not doing anything that is proprietary or secret. This is just, I'm building an app, basically. Totally fine with it, Hamza. Welcome. Happy to connect with you on LinkedIn. or anywhere else. I'm Jeff Blankenberg on everything. I spend a lot of time on Twitter. That's another good place to find me. But we should see now that our random speech printed out, maybe. So that is all working as expected. Now we're getting the right data. The trick here, this is a trick. I don't think would the breaking of this stuff be stopped with test cases? Yeah, if I was building out tests for all of this, Kevin Evans, thanks, man. Happy Monday. If I was building out test cases for all of this, some of these things would be solved. That is true. And I probably should get back to testing at some point, but I wanted to make some progress. I wanted to forge forward just a little bit. And the tests felt like, I hate to say this because I love tests. They provide so much confidence in how things work, but I also have to marry that against making demonstrable progress against my code. Because I like to, it's fun to see things work and respond and engage. And so I feel like I would just be moving a little slower. But there's going to be a slow period eventually because I am going to go back and write tests to handle some of these situations. So I'm going to pseudocode this out because I need to think through how I really want this to work. If they matched a category, get a question from that category. That's pretty easy. If they didn't match a category, if we didn't detect a category, give them a random category. If we did detect a category, tell them that the category doesn't exist. So that's really what I'm going for here. Ice Cream, good morning. Haven't seen you in a little bit. If we have used a DSLR camera for streaming like you do, does that consume more internet data than a normal webcam? No, because of the way that everything is kind of packaged up. Even though I'm using an SLR and I have a really high resolution video coming out of the camera, all of that is boiled down here locally on my machine down to 1080p before it's shipped out. So it should not consume more internet data than a normal stream would, because it all depends on the resolution of the output of all of the software that you're using, not just the individual devices. So is my camera resolution higher? Yes, but it's really still only being sent to you at 1080p. But the camera itself is being recorded at just over 4K, I think. But no, it should still be the same amount of, it's a lot of data. Don't get me wrong. I'm sending a live video stream out of my house with all sorts of other digital everythings. But in general, no, it shouldn't be any more than the whole stream would be normally. Okay, so because this is the thing, if they matched a category, get a question about that. So that's what this piece is. Like, if they matched, we're great. So what we're doing here is catching the not state. If they didn't match a category, then we want to assign them a category. So what we're really saying here is if they didn't resolve a category and what do we call it? Spoken category doesn't equal undefined. Thanks, man. Much appreciated. I'm really glad you're here. It's always fun to meet new people. And Hamza, where are you located in this grand old world of ours? So this is if they didn't match a category, but I have a value for something they said, then we're going to do all this. Otherwise, I need to get, you're in India, very good. I was in India last February. Do you know Karthik? He just left, but Karthik is a good friend of mine, Amazon colleague. And I flew out to India last year to come speak at a community event. I'm speaking actually at an Alexa India community event on Thursday morning. So I will virtually be in India on Thursday. Okay, so I have this resolved category. So it seems like there's going to be a situation in which we're getting the resolved word for the category they have. But what if we didn't get what if we didn't match a category and they just wanted a random category? I am going to have to pick one for them at random. And do I have like get random category right now? I have get category list. That's a good start because then I could use that to get a random item out of it. So we'll use that. So how do we want to do this? Else if resolved category and spoken category equals undefined. It was dropped a little earlier in chat. Let me see if I can find it for you. That's not it. Here we go. Grabbing it and adding it to the chat again. Alexa Community India event on Jan 8. There we go. All right, so there you go. There's the Alexa community event. Hopefully that helps. And when I have some time, I will take a look at your LinkedIn profile for sure. See who you are. I love a good LinkedIn stalking. So this is going to be random category. Now we're going to call this category list. Category list equals await dot, what do we want to call that? Await data dot get category list. What do I give that? Speech type? Really? I have speech type and locale, but I don't use either of them. Let's not include those then. Get category list. Great. Like so. And then we can say const random category is helper.get random item from category list. Okay, so that should get me a random category. So we're close, but we're not there because of this, because of these pieces right here. So I think what I want to do is we're going to just do a, we call those category name and category ID. We're going to do a let category name and a let category ID. So in there, these now become that, and I think I can add a final else case here that takes those two like that. Then we can do the same thing in here, except that they're going to point to different things. So this is going to be random. No, I don't need that. Random category dot fields dot name. I think that's what it's called. Category is dot name, and the record ID is record ID. So we should be able to do fields dot name, and then this is going to be random category dot fields dot record ID. Okay, so that all feels pretty good. We now have this category name and category ID that we assign depending on our case. And then we use those category names and category IDs to do the rest of our work. So it feels like to me, we've done it. We should actually try that and see how we think about that. Give me a random question. Please work. Please work.
Here is a question from the geography category.
Where in the world is?
What is the only independent state in the world to begin with the letter Y?
That's a good one. Yemen.
Cheers. You got that one right. The answer was Yemen. What should we do next? You can say give me a random question or start today's game.
Okay, let's do that again. Random question. Give me a different category.
Here is a question from the United States category. Other than Indianapolis, what state capital ends with the letters P-O-L-I-S?
That's Annapolis, Maryland. What if I say give me a sports question again? This should still work too, right?
Here is a question from the sports and games category. What NBA player holds the record for scoring in a single game with 100 points?
Okay, what if I say give me a question, just randomly like that?
Ruh-roh. That answer is not correct. The answer was Wilt Chamberlain. What should we do next?
Well, I need to tweak up my interface a little bit then, I think, because if we come into my interaction model and we look at the question intent, we should have one that is give me a question, give me another question. We already have give me a random question in there, right? Another question. Okay. So we've got all those. No, I'm happy to kind of explain this. There's a few things to know as we get into all of this. So there's two. So this is a great lesson. We can spend 5 minutes on this. This is easy, Hamza. So the way that this works is there's a front end and a back end to an Alexa skill, which is this voice experience that we're building. So the front end looks like this. I have intents. These are the things that users say. That's our interface is voice. That's how people are talking. And so I have some basic ones like cancel and help and stop. These are things that any user can do in any skill, which is why they're Amazon intents. I also have a repeat intent. So if the user says like, can you repeat that? Or can you say that again? I can repeat whatever the user has said. And then I have some custom ones that I've built for myself so far, which are the answer intent, the question intent, and this is something special for me. And then we showed this earlier on, but the category list and the category full list. So the way these work, if I look at the question intent, is that I build, this is all like machine learning, artificial intelligence living behind this. But what I do is I give it a sample list of things I think the user might say. Things like another question, or give me another question, or let's try sports, or I want a sports question, or whatever it happens to be. So we come up with 10, 15, 20 versions of this. Alexa can do a lot of machine learning to identify things that are close matches but not identical. And then what I do is I define some code so that when the user says something like this, like give me a random question, what's actually happening behind the scenes is this passes through
Here is a question from the geography category.
Where in the world is?
What world capital is located at longitude 0?
1 second. So now that we have that piece, the user has said something. What ends up happening here is this is the information that's actually passed into my code. So you can see it's just a big JSON file. I'm waiting for this little thing to end here. It's going to ask me a question.
Okay. What is your answer?
Okay, so that's where we're done there. So the information that gets passed in here, this is the data that I'm storing so that I know what I said. If the user says repeat that, I know what I said. I've stored that in my session. I know that I'm in the middle of asking the user a question. So I have the ID and the instance and the data around the question. All of that information is held here. We also know things about the user, right? We know what their Alexa user ID is. We know what questions they've answered before, how many questions, how many they've gotten right, all of that kind of stuff. We know if they're using a device with a screen, like some of the ones that I have behind me here, then we know what that device shape looks like so that we can make sure that we're providing visuals that match whatever they're showing on their screen. We also know what interfaces they support. So if there's things that are special about this skill that we need access to, there's special interfaces that can be provided. And then at the very end, this is the useful data for us. You can see that we have a question intent. So you remember back here, we have the question intent. This is what actually tells me what happened. What did the user want to do? And in this case, you can see that I have an indication that they wanted the question intent. So I'm going to go do whatever the question intent is. And in here, it specifies a category because you can see there are times where we expect a category to come in. So in those categories, in this case, I didn't get any data. But if we do this again with give me a sports question, Ice Cream, I'm glad you're here, man. Lots to catch up on.
A question from the sports and games category.
All of the sessions are up on my YouTube if you want to go back and watch them.
In a deck of playing cards, what card is sometimes known as the man with the axe? Be specific. I need the rank and the suit.
Okay, and so in this case, what you can see is that it saw the question intent, but this time it heard the word sports. And so then it also matched that against my list of categories and said, hey, they match sports and games. So all of that data gets fed back to me as I'm using this.
Okay. What is your answer?
So I have all of this JSON information, this data that's passed to my skill. And then behind the scenes, I have my code running. And so the way the code is structured is I have one entry point called index. And in here, what I do is I build out a bunch of conditionals. So I say, was it the answer intent? If it was the answer intent, then we're going to go do whatever I'm supposed to do for the answer intent. If they said cancel, then we're going to go do what the cancel intent does, right? And I have code written for all of these. And then once I have all that code written, like the question intent, I make some decisions. I grab some information out of that JSON data that we got. And down here at the very end, I do something like this, where I say, hey, I want you to say whatever this string is. I pass this string back to Alexa. And I say, I want you to say this to the user. And I provide a reprompt, which means I want them to be able to respond. I'm expecting they're going to respond to me and say something again. So the reprompt, this is just like a follow-up question. But by indicating this reprompt, this allows me to say, hey, keep the microphone open. They're going to say something else. And then I say get response. And I return all of that stuff right back to the Alexa service. And it talks to the user. And it all happens pretty seamlessly. So the testing tool that I'm using here, and hopefully this is making sense, Hamza, is this testing tool allows me to basically pretend like I'm speaking. But I could talk to any of these devices and get the same experience. It's just slower when I have to talk versus typing. So that's why I tend to live here. And so the category here is the answer to this one is the King of Diamonds. I spelled it wrong. Making me a wrong answer. Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. That answer is not correct. The answer was King of Diamonds. All of the other kings hold swords. What would you like to do now? You can start today's game or ask for a trivia question.
Cool. So that's the basic gist, Hamza. Now, with that being said, you can hear I'm not using Alexa's voice. I'm using a special voice that's named Brian. You've heard sound effects and music playing. All of those things are additional things that I can do inside a response. But that's the basic story behind how you build an Alexa skill. You have a front end that kind of defines what to do in specific situations where users say certain things. And then you have a back end that handles those things and responds back. So hopefully that makes a good enough amount of sense. Is it open source so you can contribute? I'm not necessarily taking contributions right now, but what I am doing, oh my gosh, I have a big scratch on my desk, I think. But it is all available on my GitHub. So if you want to go look at it, play with it, make it your own, you're more than welcome to do that. All of it's there, but I'm not currently taking pull requests or anything. This is more meant to be a project for me to build start to finish. And as we get further into this, I may have to build some things to like add more questions and collect some things. So there may be a point at which it's open source and I take contributions, but we're just not doing that yet. But thank you for the request. All right, so I think I've got this logic done. The only piece that we haven't tested is like the wrong category. So let's make sure that piece works too. Give me a taco question.
Roro.
No.
That answer is not correct. The answer was King of Diamonds. All of the other kings hold swords. You can say something like, give me a science question, or you can start today's game. What will it be?
How do I want to handle this? Give me a baseball question. Is it going to treat it as a wrong answer every time? This is why I hate the SearchQuery slot.
Oh man. That answer is not correct. The answer was King of Diamonds. All of the other kings hold swords. You can say something like, give me a science question, or you can start today's game. What will it be?
What am I going to do about that? Because it thinks they're giving a wrong answer, but they were asking for a category. We're going to try another hack. We're going to try a thing. I have this category slot. I want that to stay as is. But I wonder if I could create a new slot type that is, I'm going to call it garbage. You guys will understand what I'm doing here in a second. So I want words. I want, I don't know, like 2000. Can you do 2000? Can you do this in a way that's like usable? Is there a list I can download? That doesn't help me. I can't just copy and paste that. I want to be able to download the list. Generate 5 random. I want 2000 random words. That's great. I've got my 2000 words. Still not helping me here, though. I can't copy and paste this list. Why can't you just give me a list I can copy and paste? Oh, maybe I can. See what kind of formatting comes through on that. So if I think about how I would want to do this, I would have that's not going to work. Can I do bulk edit? 1 slot value per line. We're just creating a text file. Okay, I can do that. I can't. Stitch all, yeah, see, it's going to stitch all those words together. That's no good for me. All right, let's try one more. Randomize a list of names or things. Well, that doesn't work for me either because I don't have a list. Generate a list of random words. Table. Bulleted list. Numbered list. Paragraph? No. Number of columns? 9. Number of rows? 9. Generate. Wish I could do this another way with like bigger numbers. number of columns 1, then I can only get 9 words. Man. Hamza asked me, Ice Cream, it's very possible that there's a random word generator or a random slot generator. I'm not aware of it, but let's see. I feel like it should be pretty easy to just grab a list of random words from a website, though. This is fine. Pictionary is fine. Category, medium. I don't want one word. I just want somebody give me a list of words I can copy and paste. Generate. No. Number of words. 1,000. There we go. Now you're on my level. How far is this going to go? Copy. Now, in a perfect world, I would do a new file here. And we'll save this as, and we're just going to call this random.csv, my downloads folder. Okay. So now that we've done that, we should be able to come into this and say drag and drop or browse. Let's go to downloads, find my random file. Look at that. Look at that. We have a whole bunch of random words in a garbage slot. So now we can come into question intent, and we're going to add some new stuff here that includes garbage. So what I'm going to do is say garbage, maybe. That new garbage slot is of type garbage. And so we should be able to say garbage. Let's do all of them. Let's try garbage. Give me garbage. I want a garbage question. Garbage question. And no, Hamza, I'm happy to have the conversations. You mentioned that I have a degree in psychology. So I have a degree in psychology, but I have a minor in computer science from university. And I got out of school, and I was planning on going to school to be a doctor, like a psychologist. But I got out of school, and I got a job basically as a social worker, and I made no money and wasn't loving it, really struggled with all of that, and found another job as basically a software developer building websites. This was in the late 90s. And they paid me twice as much as I was making as a social worker. So I went and did that for a little bit and just fell in love with it. Give me a garbage question. So once I got into software, I just kind of fell in love with it. Worked at a bunch of ad agencies and built a bunch of amazing websites over my history, and started speaking a lot and telling people about all of the things that I had learned and was building and ways that I built my software. And in 2007, Microsoft saw me at a few events and said, "Hey, would you like to come work with us? We like what you're doing, and we like how you the way you share your knowledge. Would you come do that for us?" And so that was in 2007. I did that for like 9 years. And then like every great technologist, I went to a failed startup for a year. And then that's right when Alexa came out. And so the moment I saw Alexa, I knew that was something that I really wanted to be involved with. And so I've been there 4.5 years. So that's my quick resume. Okay, let's see if this is actually going to work. So I think that degrees have a stronger hold on people's career paths in places like India than they do in the United States. There are lots and lots of software developers here who have degrees in music and all sorts of other interesting things that aren't necessarily software development or computer science. And I feel like in other places, Europe especially, what you go to school for and what you get your degree in is just what you are. And the idea that you would jump from one to another is quite rare. So I don't know if that's actually true in India, though I get the feel that it might. But here in the United States, there's lots of great software developers, honestly, that don't even have a college degree, but are very good at what they do. We detected one utterance conflict. Well, let's go find that. Where are my utterance conflicts? The Amazon Navigate home intent? Is there just something weird in my slot? That's a weird thing to like. Home. I think that was the issue. We'll just get rid of that one. That's good. I think that's how it should be, Hamza, is the idea that people should be able to do what they're good at. And if you don't have the credentials, fine. I'm okay with that. I think for a lot of the kinds of work that we do in technology, most of your education isn't that relevant anyway. You have to learn on the job. You have to learn by doing. And so that's kind of my philosophy on this. If you're willing to put in the time and get good at something with practice, then I think you're doing the right stuff. Okay, so we are almost ready with our model, I think. Still building. Quick build was good. Let's get the full build. Hopefully our conflict will go away. It was just that we had the word home in our slot, and it would have been fine. It wouldn't really hurt anything, but it's good to, if you have conflicts, it's good to resolve them. So there we go. So that resolved our conflict. So now let's see what happens when we say, give me a baseball question.
Whoops-a-daisy. That answer is not correct. The answer was King of Diamonds. All of the other kings hold swords. What would you like to do now? You can start today's game, or ask for a trivia question.
Yeah, so Hamza, one of the things that I found, I don't know culturally how jobs and things work in India, but here in the United States, that's very common too. Every entry-level job says we want 2 to 5 years of experience, a college degree, all this stuff. They're naming their perfect candidate. And their perfect candidate doesn't exist because if they found somebody with that experience and that education, that person wouldn't fit into the salary range that role offers. That they're always on purpose asking for more than they know they're going to get. So my number one tip for anyone looking for a job in technology, but really anywhere, is don't let their job requirements stop you from applying. You should still go through the process of saying, hey, I'm here, I'm interested, and I meet some of your qualifications or most of your qualifications, but not all. Because I think you'll be very surprised once you get an opportunity to talk with them. They will not be able to find somebody that meets the qualifications they have for the salary they have to offer. Those almost never match up. And so they have the money to pay for somebody that meets some of those requirements, but not all. All right, this is really starting to frustrate me, this slot. I wish there was a way to get around this search query slot. I wonder if I could, maybe I should just do it that way. Maybe that's a better approach. Is if I come into question intent, instead of this, what if I use the same slot? What if I just chose, why can't I even choose that? I have a, oh, because Amazon search query. So this needs to be, what if I just use a search query here also? Get rid of my, let's hold off on that. Let's change these to wrong. Oh, no, that's not going to work though. So let's delete that one. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm using the search query slot twice. I don't know how it's going to feel about this, but we'll try it. So let's see. The bad thing here is that, yeah, it makes sense. I never thought that. I never applied at so many places just because I never fit their job profile. So you're making it so that you are not qualified. If you don't ever let them know you exist, then you automatically have self-selected out. The thing to do is to submit to stuff that you know you're not qualified for, because you might get a phone call. But if you don't submit, there's zero chance that you can get a phone call. So always, always, always. Now, I wouldn't say go like apply for a chief technology officer role if you're an entry-level developer. But if it looks like an entry-level job, it probably is an entry-level job. It doesn't mean that the qualifications they've given you are inaccurate. That's their perfect candidate, but they're not going to find their perfect candidate. So not for the price they're willing to offer. So that's always my recommendation is don't self-select out. Don't take yourself out of the running. You should always, always give yourself an opportunity to succeed. I wish I had a good audio for that. Oh yeah, here we go. We'll do free. So by the way, I got to find a way to get you guys more active in the soundboard. Here's the Joker offering some advice.
If you're good at something, never do it for free.
There we go. So anyway, these are all sound effects that you can use. Let's see. We have this one.
Hey, nice clothes, gentlemen. I didn't know the Salvation Army was having a sale.
So many great movies, so many great quotes. We're on our way. So let's see what this does now. Give me a baseball question. This is going to be interesting.
Here is a question from the art and stage category.
Okay, I see what happened here.
Which ear did Vincent van Gogh cut?
Ha. Which ear did he cut? Well, it was his left ear. Hamza, I'm happy to offer any advice I can. Obviously, I can't be a full-time mentor, but I'm happy to answer questions. That's part of why I like having folks show up.
Okay, what is your answer?
I've had many mentors in my career for sure. People that I looked up to, people I worked with, people I asked for advice. I still do that today. I think it's important to have people that you can lean on for guidance and advice when you need it. So give me a baseball question. Did everything I wanted except one thing, which is this needs to change. So that's happening here. We're getting our category name. And we're saying, here's a question from the category. So this is more speech that we need to add into our database. So I'm going to take this first. And let's do a little work on the speech type. This is going to be category intro. This is just going to be that. All right, so that gives me a new speech type. And then in my database, we can come up with a new speech type called, well, I can just do it here. This is going to be category intro. So ENUS category intro. And it's going to look like this, except instead of this, the format we're using is something like category name. All right, so that's category intro. Let's do a couple more of these. ENUS, so we have some randomized speech category intro. Here's a question.
Are you following me?
Kami Harris, thank you for the follow, much appreciated. Here's a question from the category name category. This is a fun question. Category name question. One more. ENUS category intro. This is a category name question. How do I say this? This is a sports question. I picked a tricky sports question this time. Not really, because I'm not necessarily here to be productive. I'm building stuff and I'm thinking through problems. But I think it's more interesting to have the conversation. So my productivity is increased by your conversation. How about that? This needs to go away because we didn't end up building that. But category intro is a thing now. So in here, we should be able to, instead of this, we want to say, await data.get random speech. In here, it's going to be data.speechtypes.category intro and helper.getLocale. Category name, and we're going to replace it with whatever our category name happens to be. Let's see how much I destroyed the world here. Give me a science question. Maybe.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
Blew something up good there. Try that again. Open the game.
This is TKO Trivia. If you thought Jeopardy was challenging, you're in for a treat.
CPM McManaman, I don't have a direct answer for you on why the AWS Alexa certification is being retired, but it is. I was sad to see it go, but I think it just wasn't getting the kind of traffic I think that they want. I mean, it takes a lot of time and energy to keep a test fresh and new and modern. And my understanding is most AWS certifications are taken by mostly IT pros, right? There's not a lot of development certifications. And so as a result, I think it just didn't have the audience I think they were hoping for. That's my guess. I don't actually know the answer, but That's what I'm thinking. Give me a sports question this time.
This is a fun sports and games question for you.
There we go.
What major American sporting event takes place on the first Saturday of May?
Okay, so that is now working. So now what I want to see is what happens when I say, give me a random question. Thanks, Hamza. Thanks for stopping by. We'll get you into all the other fun here. We've got a chat bot. We've
Here
got
is a question from the literature category.
play on music for people.
What is the best-selling book written by American author E.B. White?
Okay. So this time, I said give me a random question, and it says here's a question from the literature category. Love your opinions on this. Do I need to do this? Do I need to say I chose?
Okay. What is your answer?
I chose literature for you. Do I need to say that, or can I just say, like, here's a question from the literature category, because it's a random category? It feels like that's okay. Let me do one more. Give me a random question.
Here is a question from the United States category.
Give me a random question.
I picked a tricky nature question this time.
I think that's okay.
How many adult teeth does a human have, including the wisdom teeth?
And if I say sports question, it's just going to say the same thing, but specific to the question, the category they asked for.
Here is a question from the sports and games category. How many lettered dice are there in a standard game of Boggle?
So we may have just solved our black hole problem. There's one more thing which I would like to do. I have this. Oh, am I not?
Okay. What is your answer?
So I am recording their wrong answers here when they get a question wrong, but I'm not coming up with a place to record wrong categories. We could do that. And we should do that because I want to make sure that it's not just a synonym problem, that they're saying a word that matches a category, but I didn't anticipate it. How do I want to do this? Where do I want to record that? I guess I could have like a category instance. Category, yeah, I guess I could do that. Category. So this is going to be a record ID. Let's use a formula here. Okay, and then this is going to be the category. No. User. Link to the user table. This is just going to be single line text of like whatever they wanted the category to be. And then this will be like a created date or something. Like so. Okay, so what I should be able to do is just make a quick call to the database to store any bad category names. And the way that we'll do that is in the question intent, we have this logic right here. And let me label these at least temporarily. They said a category we don't have. They asked for a random category. they matched an existing category. Okay, so those are our 3 states, and the first 2 are good, but what we want to do is record this specific situation, which is, we'll call this const wrong category name. And this is going to be await data dot, and we got to come up with a thing for this. This is going to be new. So we have some things in here already. We have put question instance, so we could put category instance. That probably makes sense. File, save as, put category instance. This is going to go in category instance. We're going to create a new record, and our values are here. So this is going to be, the user is going to be a user ID, and the category name just going to be a string, but it'll be category name. Okay. Category name and user ID are passed in. This is put category instance. Then in our index file, we need to add that. So put that, and then down here we just need a category instance. Okay. That should all be good. Put category instance, pretty simple. It's just a call to the database, but we're specifying a table and creating a custom object for that table, which is user ID and category name. Question intent then is going to say await data.put category instance. The category name is going to be the spoken category. And the user ID is going to be where? Do I pull that anywhere else already? Doesn't look like I do. Okay, we can do it. We'll just do session attributes user fields record ID. All right. So that should put my category instance. I don't actually need this value, but it's nice to have it. That should put our category instance when they say something that's not right. So let's see. Give me a baseball question. Where was that? Give me a baseball question. Wah, wah. I'm sure there's an error, right?
Here is a question from the tradition and beliefs category. In the Bible, who was the younger brother of Esau?
Ah, I know what it is. I changed my logic a little bit. So one of the things we need is another value, which is wrong category.
Okay. What is your answer?
Stop it. The wrong category is going to be, what did we call it? Wrong. Okay. So here we should just get the spoken words for wrong. So now our logic is if they didn't resolve something and spoken category contains something, or wrong category equals something, then we do this. I wasn't even catching that value in there, but I'm guessing if I look at this, down here at the bottom, wrong has a value in it. wrong has baseball, and I wasn't even looking at it, so I couldn't make determinations about that. Okay, so let's do give me a baseball question again.
Uh-oh, we don't have a category for undefined. You can always ask for the list of categories, or ask for a random question.
I almost wonder if I don't even need this. I would be very surprised if this ever happens now. So if I just treat it as wrong category every time, I think that gets me what I want. What time are we looking at? 11:30. I'm almost done here. We've solved my black hole, I think. Give me a baseball question.
Uh-oh, we don't have a category for baseball. You can always ask for the list of categories, or ask for a random question.
So that makes me wonder, like, baseball is a good example of this. As I'm thinking about my synonyms for sports and games in the category, so sports and games right now, my synonyms are sports and games, but what if I added baseball? I can do that. The trick that I'm going to run into, though, is when they say baseball, I'm treating that as if they said, give me a sports and games question. So it's possible they could get a question from all over the sports and games category when they say baseball. So the question is, should I treat it as if they said something that's invalid? Or should I just assume that they meant sports and games and they enjoyed the baseball question they might have gotten earlier, and so they just want another sports and games question? I don't know what the right answer is there. Because sports and games is broad. It could be board games. It could be any number of sports. But I don't have it set up to be granular enough for you to say, give me a baseball question. That just doesn't exist. Well, I think for now, I'll treat it as a synonym. We can add some other sports in there as well. But that way, we're catching more instances in which a user says something very specific, like baseball or painting or opera, right? If I look at art and stage, or I have music, I don't actually know where I would put opera, probably art and stage, but I could add opera as a term here. Let's also fix I think I did already fix it. The question intent does not have a garbage slot anymore. Yeah. So I think we're all good there. So if I look at my category instance, you can see that baseball was logged here, and I think that's great. But realistically, if I say, give me a baseball question, what they mean is a sports question.
Here is a question from the sports and games category. How many different scoring areas are there on a dartboard?
Okay. So I think that's probably fine. Answer is 82, by the way.
Blast. That answer is not correct. The answer was 82. There are 4 regions.
Typing is
for
weird
each of the
sometimes.
20
That's why you
number
get those errors.
slices, plus 2 regions for the bullseye. What should we do this time?
Well, I think we've solved our black hole, though. So give me a taco question. It should work now.
Uh-oh, we don't have a category for taco. You can always ask for the list of categories, or ask for a random question.
Give me the list of categories.
Uh-oh, we don't have a category for the list of categories. You can always ask for the list of categories, or ask for a random question.
This is where, as you start getting users, you start to realize all of the things that fail because you're using these. Yeah, I don't have any good inference stuff, Ice Creams. I'm with you, though. Like, if they ask for baseball and I give them a darts question, that feels broken. So all I have to do is remove that synonym, and then it would do exactly that. But I don't have any of that inference to be able to say that baseball goes with sports and games. I don't have that luxury. I could build that inference, but that's massive. That could be really, really big for a lot of these. Do you think that's too jarring to say, give me a baseball question? I'm like, oh, cool. Here's a question from sports and games. Because I'm kind of making that inference. I just don't have that little statement that says, oh, there is actually no category with this name, but here's a question from sports and games. I'd have to have a differentiation in how I treat my synonyms. Some of them are matched. Some of them are a partial match. I don't have a great way to do that without a lot more work for a little payoff. Okay, well, then I'll leave it the way I have it, where baseball just gets treated as, hey, I don't have a category for that. And then if they want to say sports certainly would work. Are we done building? Maybe? So try this again. Give me the list of categories.
TKO Trivia has 20 categories of questions.
Okay. Tell me the categories. This is where I just give you a shorter list.
Here are a couple of categories I'd recommend: art and stage, food and drink, literature, people, or technology. Which category would you like to try?
And then I should be able to say people. It should give me a question.
Here is a question from the people category. What kind of trees did John Chapman like to plant?
So you think, if I go to unknown category, we don't have a category. So you're just saying maybe I just use the word specific.
Okay. What is your answer?
We could add another one here. We should have a couple of these anyway. ENUS, unknown, and this is going to be like, it looks like I don't have a specific category for a full list of categories. Say, give me the list of categories. Okay. It looks like I don't have a specific category for taco. For a full list of categories, just say, give me a list of categories. That works. Let's try that again with taco. Give me a taco question.
We don't have a specific category for taco. You can always ask for the list of categories, or ask for a random question.
And that needs one more piece too, which is what would you like to do? So we need a one of these. What do I call them? Action queries? I think that's what I call them in my database. Action query. Where are those? Action queries. What would you like to do now? What should we do this time? What should we do next? So some action query is what we really need. So I'm going to come in here and we're going to get a const action query equals await data.get random speech. This is going to be data.speechtypes.action query helper get locale, handler input. And like that, we should have some random speech to tack onto the end. So now, no category speech is just my stuff. So I think what we should do here is just say no category speech. And action query. And one of the things I don't like to do is in the reprompt do the whole thing, so we'll just put the action query there. That's something we're going to change everywhere eventually. Let's see how that sounds. Now that we actually asked the user a question. Give me a taco question.
It looks like I don't have a specific category for taco. For a full list of categories, just say give me list of categories. What should we do next? You can say give me a random question or start today's game.
Give me the list of categories. Thank you. So now each time that I do this, I'm chopping content away.
Uh-oh, we don't have a specific category for taco. What would you like to do now? You can start today's game or ask for a trivia question.
Give me a question. Should just give me a random question.
This is a fun TV and radio question for you. In what TV show did the characters spend season 4 searching for a place called Terminus?
This music is still growing on me. I'm not annoyed by it yet. But it's a nice 15-second kind of timer countdown. All right, so we have accomplished our goals today. For that
Okay.
Feels pretty good.
What is your answer?
What is your answer? Let's see. I think we're good for today. I'm going to stop our service. We're going to no, not Discord. We're going to do a little commit here. Solve the wrong answer black hole. We'll push all that code out. So that'll be on GitHub in here in just a minute. And in the meantime, we will focus tomorrow on solving all of the other situations in which we end up in the wrong answer, even when a question hasn't been asked. So that'll be a lot of the stuff that we work on tomorrow, because there's plenty of situations where someone might just say something, and we don't want to treat it like a wrong answer unless they actually were asked a question. And then, of course, we want to go through the wrong answer process. So with that, we're going to go find a raid. Let's go raid. Who should we raid? Let's go over and see BeginBot today. Get him rolling. Start our raid. Send you find people over there to say hey. And with that, we're going to put a nice bow on things today. It's been great. Thanks for the conversation from all of you today. Again, I'll be back again tomorrow morning, and we'll keep this train rolling. So thank you guys all for tuning in. I'll see you soon.